As most of you know, we have been looking into the passages from the book of James with a theme called A Faith That Works. Faith that works. And today we're going to continue this journey in chapter 3, particularly picking up from where we have left off last Sunday, the part, if you remember, the part where we talked about how we should tame our tongues. And today we're going to talk about wisdom. Talk about wisdom under the title, The Good Life. The first verse of our reading begins like this. Who is wise and understanding among you? Who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. This past week, there were several moments that I was in my tears watching the historical summit of my home country between South and North Korea. The moment when the president of the South Korea, speaking to 150,000 North Koreans in a stadium. Never seen that before. The moment when the two leaders climbed the tallest mountain in Korean Peninsula, which is a mountain apparently is in north, so obviously a place that we never imagined traveling to. Watching this unreal, hard to believe reality, I was in tears. Because for so many years, we were going head to head between the South and the North. And that's what we were educated every day, recited every day when I was in service. That the North Korean people are our enemies. And then now, before my eyes, I saw some sign of hope and possibilities that this wasn't just going to be about being angry at each other. So I questioned, what's so different now? Why couldn't this happen any earlier? And yes, there are different people with different opinions about the future of North and South Korea, but at the end, I believe there is one thing that all Korean people would agree on, is we want to see at the end the peace in the Korean Peninsula, and that's about it. And yet people were in disagreements in how to achieve that common goal. Some said, let's become stronger than the North by having stronger military, buying more weapons so that we are in control. And some others said, that will just create more tension. We should rather have a conversation. And both leaders in the majority of the past took the first stance, being stronger than each other. And then there were few leaders who took the little steps of trying that conversation option. That phrase from our reading, the humility that comes from wisdom. The humility that comes from wisdom. Or in some other translation it says, the gentleness born from wisdom. Such connection between the words gentleness or humility to the word wisdom, gentleness and wisdom, only appears once in the entire Bible, and it's from our reading today. Gentleness and wisdom may not be that natural being next to each other, because we know that being gentle doesn't mean that you're wise all the time, right? We've seen those people, or within us. And in the same way, wise people are not always necessarily humble, right? So what the passage is telling us is that to live the best kind of life, the good life we're talking about, the best kind of life, one needs to have both gentleness and wisdom, for they offer an important balance to each other. When one is truly humble, self-giving, and kind, then the wisdom that one gains will be used for the benefit of others and in service to the world, and one seeks genuine wisdom from God, then one is able to be self-composed, content, and disciplined in the way one relates to others. So to me, watching the two leaders taking such humble approach, holding each other's hands, promising no more war in the land of Korea, was a very clear example of what that balance between wisdom and gentleness might look like in action in our world. I was in New Hampshire yesterday to attend a resource day about prayer life. So I was learning about prayers. And if I could summarize what I learned from yesterday, it was pretty straightforward and simple. They were talking about church vitality. And church vitality begins by spiritual renewal. Simple, right? We all know that. It's saying not from a new strategy, not by a new program, not by certain skills, but it begins from worship. Bible church begins from worship. The one who was presenting yesterday was a retired bishop, so obviously as a leader of this denomination and church, he's been putting a lot of thoughts on the reality of the decline in number in many of our churches. And he came to the result after all those thoughts. And he was asking us, and he was asking this question to us: what is the one thing that is lacking from our church from being vital? So I may ask you this question to you also. What is the one thing that is lacking from our church from being vital? And his answer, that it's a matter of spirituality. It's a spirituality issue. And I agree with that 200%. I totally agree with that. And please don't get me wrong. And I'm not trying to point finger at anybody in our pews. But it was a moment to put a mirror before my inner self. I was asking, how much time do I spend in my week trying to make decisions after decisions, hoping that they will be wise ones? How many times did I feel accomplished by them when they were actually wise ones? How many times did I feel discouraged by them when they weren't? How many times did I feel like it was another challenge to overcome? No matter how much I intend not to think about it this way, how many times did I fill my day with another mountain to conquer? Even though it was a presentation about prayer life, I thought it went so well with our topic about wisdom, as today's passage from James chapter 3 came to my mind as I was hearing that presentation. Our reading says, "But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from heaven, but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice." To me, the terms envy or self-ambition were not about how well, or to be concerned about how well others are doing, in comparison to how I am doing. To me, this came down to making it about what I do, and not about what God does. Envy and self-ambition, to me, was about what I do and not about what God does. And then the bishop shared this story with us yesterday, and I want to share it with you also. There was a son and a father. In front of them there was a large stone, huge stone. The son tried to move the stone as hard as he can. He pushed with all his might. The stone did not move a bit. He took some rest, and the next day, with fresh set of mind, he tried again. The stone still did not move a bit. The son was starting to get a little frustrated about this. He tried again. No movement. He felt like he was disappointing himself. But more worse, he thought he was disappointing his father, who was watching. He burst into tears. "Father, I tried my best, but I cannot move the stone." The father replied, "No, son, no, you are wrong. You didn't do your best because you never asked me for help, even though I was standing right next to you all along." Our scripture tells us that what causes fights and quarrels among? Don't they come from your desires to battle within you? Don't they come from your desire to move the stone by yourself? You desire, but since you do not have, you kill. You covet, but you cannot get what you want, so you begin fighting. And then listen to how the scripture goes. You do not have because you do not ask God. You do not have because you do not ask God. I felt deeply convicted. That whole issue about trying to keep things under my control. I have to admit that the control thing is pretty attractive. It seems successful. It feels safe. Sometimes it almost seems the words like peace can be used to describe that state of being under control. The dictionary says that the word wisdom means the ability to think and act using knowledge, experience, understanding, common sense, and insight. But the Bible's definition of wisdom from heaven says something different. Wisdom from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial, and sincere. That's the definition of wisdom in the Bible. At the end, this whole message about wisdom is about a mutual relationship between us and God. Our wisdom is not about how well we could put our knowledge and experience together, but our wisdom is about how connected we are with God spiritually. In the later part of what we read today, in chapter 4, it says, "Come near to God, and God will come near to you." Come near to God, and God will come near to you. That is the good news. That is the Christian gospel to this world. That event, you remember? During Christmas, right? Emmanuel. That's the whole point. God is with us. God is with you. That is the living wisdom that was born from humility. The good news for all of us is that God is wanting to be with us. So what do? We listen. We listen. That's, if you want to take one thing from today's sermon, take that word. Listen. Listen. We let go of our ego, our thoughts even, our ideas, our opinions, and ourselves. And then we listen. Our scripture says we submit ourselves to God. We submit ourselves to God. It's like going to a doctor's office, right? To tell the doctor where you feel the pain, how you feel the pain when you move your body this way and that way, how much this pain is costing and affecting your daily life. And you said all the pains you got, all the struggles you got to the doctor. And then imagine, after sharing all this pain, you get up and leave the office without hearing what the doctor has to say to you. I would assume that you would be very attentive to what the doctor has to say. So when you pray, when you ask, don't forget to listen also. So I pray that as you go from here this week, that you will be filled with wisdom from heaven as you face many challenges in your life. That you would first ask, and then that you would listen to what God has to say about your pain. Listen. And remember always that Emmanuel God, that God